Ethereum just hit a massive rally going all the way to $4,300. The big question a lot of people have been asking now is it too late to buy? Let me tell you something. The ETH BTC chart is showing a consistent uptrend that it has not shown since 2021. And we are not even past the previous all-time high yet. So long story short, it's not too late. But is it going to be a parabolic run, or is there potentially a short-term chop and some correction before we break above the previous all-time high? That's something a lot of people are much more interested in, which is what we're going to talk about today. Also, on top of that, since ETH is running and really leading the market now, altcoin season is looking really good. So what kind of alts will pump next that's closely related to Ethereum and its narrative? We will cover all of them in today's video as well. Okay, without further ado, let's get straight into it. If you guys are new here to the channel and to our live streams, make sure to leave your comments and your questions in the chats, and we will do a short Q&A at the very end. So, very quickly, just want to mention that if you just want to do one thing to hold ETH for the rest of this run, ETH is going to head way higher. I believe by the end of the year, we can get to somewhere around $6,000 to $7,000. You can check that out with my Ethereum updated price prediction video. This one right here, which was made about 3 weeks ago. Back here, we're looking at the Treasury companies in ETH, the ETF flow, and just based on this year performance on Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And we were looking at a conservative target for Ethereum to reach a certain ratio compared to Bitcoin's valuation. And our conservative target that I took the calculation of was right around here, where not that one, that's the bull market target. If I can find this one, yeah, right here. So assuming Bitcoin hits somewhere between 150K, and by that time of hype, Ethereum can reach something like 0.04 in ETH BTC ratio again. That gives us around $6,600 per ETH. Now, I think this is totally doable in the next 4 months or so in a bullish case, just based on how fast ETH has been running since June. If it continues that for 3 more months, we are looking at 6,600. So if you just want to ride this kind of a wave, there will be corrections. The easiest way to ride it is to just look at each dip, each higher high and higher low, and use those as your bottom range of accumulation, and then target the 6,500-ish mark by the end of the year. If you want to target shorter term, you can also go for the previous all-time high, which is at 4,800. So the easiest way that I see anyone can do this is by using our trading strategies on Ponex. So I covered this last week on this live stream right here, where I have set up a trading bot on Ponex using this exact same strategy. So what I did was right here, I made a ETH swing bot, which is meant to hold 1 to 2 months until ETH breaks above the previous all-time high at 4,850. So with that kind of a range, I have 3,350 as the bottom of the range that I would stop buying at. So that looks something like this on the actual charts, where my bot will keep buying ETH until this higher low right here. You can see it pretty clearly, and it will sell until 4,850, the previous all-time high, because I think this is ultimately what the range is for summary of today's content. And I don't think we can break above previous all-time high that easily. And that's why this is simply the easiest way to do so. Remember, markets never go like this, straight down, or like this, straight up. It's always choppy. So way more likely do we get this kind of a scenario like we had in May, when Ethereum went to 2,700, and a lot of people were saying, oh my God, is it too late to buy? I were telling people, yes, it is still early to buy, but you better be prepared for a potential dump to the low 2000s again. I didn't think it was going to be below 2000 or anywhere close to these lows, which would be a very bearish sign. But there's always corrections. There's always chops. There's always corrections. So by using a bot strategy like this, if ETH chops, you make more money using the arbitrage on the grids. And if it dips, your bot will end up buying more. And as long as you have a take profit, ultimately, this is a very easy strategy. So how you can set that up, you can just check my last video right here where we already have covered it. Essentially, my bot is set up like this. You have the bottom of the range, 3350, top of the range, 4850. You have some quantity number of grids, like I believe 150, 160-ish. And then this is what it looks like. So right now we're leaning actually more towards buy orders versus sell orders because ETH is getting pretty extended in this week's rally when it dipped to 3350, but went all the way to 4350 within 1 week, right? So I wouldn't say, okay, we're gonna shoot straight to 5K. That's pretty unlikely, especially that 5K is a big psychological number and it's the previous all-time high. So that's why my bot is set up like this, where it leans more towards putting more buys than sells in case we get lower. I think this range between 3350 and 3800 will all be very good buying opportunity if it gets there. But I don't want to hold my breath if it doesn't get there. And that's why this bot just automatically buys a little bit and continues buying as long as it gets lower until this point. So you can visualize this pretty clearly right here. Okay, so how do we get here? Why am I decently confident now that 3350 needs to hold other than just TA? So when you look at the chart of ETH, we have established ourselves a new uptrend and a new higher high and higher low in July, right? We made a high at 3,900, we made a low at 3,350, and this is on a daily time frame. This is in short term. So in order for the momentum to continue from this point, this daily uptrend needs to be respected. So that's the first, which is we need to respect the higher low here at 3,350. On top of that, when you look at ETH BTC ratio chart, this was the same time that ETH BTC bottom made the upper higher low at 0.03. And we don't want ETH BTC to retrace all of this because think about what the market, what the stage of the market we are in. Bitcoin is clearly going to trend higher over time. This past weekend's correction has been fully erased. We are now back up to 120K. We're 119K and 850. Teetering with previous all-time high here. Like by previous all-time high, literally we're talking about 1 month ago, we just touched these levels and now we are back up there again. So when Bitcoin is rallying so hard, number one, the second largest coin, ETH, is the thing that needs to follow. Now, for the longest time, Bitcoin has outperformed ETH until summer of this year. This is because the institutional flow finally turned on for ETH. We covered this back in July as well, looking at this website on strategic ETHreserve.xyz, this website. So you see back here in July 21st, there was around, what was this? I can just check this right here. Around July 20th, we had 7.1 million ETH or $24 billion worth that's in all the strategic treasury reserves and the ETFs that hold Ethereum. Now, this is only accelerating right now. Comparing that point to today, that number went up from 24 billion to 33 billion. You see? And last Friday had the biggest bubble, the biggest inflow on a daily basis, right? These bubbles closely follow the format of MicroStrategy and how quickly Michael Saylor is buying Bitcoin. So this is really telling, because institutions, the public companies, they are buying faster than before, way faster than the first half of the year. This not only comes from ETFs, but all the treasury companies as well. And when you look at ETFs, right? So a lot of people flooded last week when the ETFs had one day of negative outflow right here, actually 2 days, where there was a total of $600 million that left the ETFs for Ethereum. Now, you see those have been brought back in, and it has turned positive yet again, because with the 4 days that these traded last week, there has been, how much is this? 750 million that has come back in. So this is only going to accelerate. The institutional flow is happening. So especially when you compare these kinds of flows to the current inflow and outflow to Bitcoin, you see that on a daily basis, okay, last Friday, we had $460 million of inflow into the Ethereum ETFs, all of them. Now, looking at Bitcoin on that same day, on August 8th, we had 400 million. There is literally faster inflow into the Ethereum ETFs than Bitcoin ETFs. This has been the biggest thing that's holding back ETH performance for this cycle until this really got turned down. Now, I don't know what really changed for institutions, but clearly the narrative has shifted. Institutions really love ETH just as much as Bitcoin now. And because ETH is at a much lower market cap total compared to Bitcoin, that means a bigger and bigger percentage of the ETH total supply is going into institutions versus Bitcoin's percentage supply. So that's why I don't see ETH BTC ratio slowing down. And when you look at it this way, right, ETH BTC ratio is not high right now. Yes, it had a good 3 months run now, but this is after 3 years of downtrend. So taking a 2-step back, okay? If this is not a weak chart by any means on ETH BTC, then we look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's chart is not weak at all. So putting 2 and 2 together, ETH USD shouldn't see major corrections anymore either. So that's why I really don't want us to get back below 3K, let's say, and touch back these ranges again between 2.3K to 2.8K. I think if we get there, something would be quite weird, okay? Either Bitcoin makes a big dump below 100K, or the flows really change where all of a sudden, institutions only want to buy Bitcoin again and they sell all of their holdings in the ETH ETFs, which would be totally weird. Like, why would they do that? Remember, these things, when they turn around, they only go in one direction. Just look at the flows of the Bitcoin ETFs that has been around for a year and a half now. So all of that is to say, I don't think we should get into these ranges. And if we do, that's way more likely to be caused by Bitcoin dumping, not Ethereum itself dumping while Bitcoin goes up. I think that's very unlikely of a scenario now. So that's why I only want to target these daily lows, not the weekly lows. And the daily lows right now is at 33.50. So that's what I'm looking at. In terms of upside target, we also don't want to FOMO ourselves and be unrealistic. Remember, all coins, all assets, when they get above, when they touch the previous all-time highs, it's a battle, okay? And ETH has had such a hard time for so long now. And that 48.50, that level, so many people will want to sell near the previous all-time high. Just like when Bitcoin touched that 60 to 70K range. If you go on the Bitcoin chart, okay, these highs back in March 2021, 64K, And then November 2021, 68K. Look at how much trouble Bitcoin had in this range. This was the longest and most painful summer that Bitcoin has experienced while technically trending up. This was a big 6 month chop just to cleanly break above the previous all-time high. So now that ETH is at that stage also, I'm not holding my breath and saying, yeah, we're going straight past 5K and going to 6K right away. I think that's not that likely. So that's why I don't want to target anything above 48.50 immediately. I think by the end of the year, we should be above it, but I don't think we are getting there, let's say, within 1 month. I don't think we should be trading above 5K within 1 month. I think Q4 is going to be much more likely for us to actually break through. So that's what I'm looking at on ETH. Over the next month or so, we should stay above 33.50 based on all signs, but I don't think we should be above 5K. So with that being said, if you can't wait, right, you can only hit buy, then yeah, go ahead and buy and just hold as long as we hold above 33.50. But if you are like me, you prefer to ladder in. If you want a position that slowly scales in and scales out, then you can buy a little bit, and then you can continue to buy as we get closer and closer to that 33.50 mark. And then as that whole bag gets pretty close to the previous all-time high, you can aim to de-risk a bit and see what happens in Q4. Okay, and full disclosure, okay, this cycle I believe is still early. Look at Bitcoin dominance. I tweeted about this over the weekend when Bitcoin dominance was actually breaking down right here. So Bitcoin dominance, we were looking at 60.5% as the key weekly level last week back here. And over this weekend, it actually wicked below 60%, going as far as 59.5%, if I'm not mistaken, right here, 59.7%. So this wasn't even such a clean break. We are barely starting a downtrend on Bitcoin dominance. You see, this is the daily chart. We are only having a daily first 2 days of candle close that looks like a downtrend. It is by no means late. Okay, if you think the altcoin season is early, it hasn't even started. Because when you compare this trend that we have right now, where we made a daily low, daily high, and then daily low, and now this next high, we don't want it to get back above 62.5%. As long as it confirms another rollover lower high, that's a downtrend for sure. So the reason why this is so significant is you can zoom out on the charts and you will not find something like this since 2021. Just zoom out. Okay, this was a fake out. This was a fake downtrend because you see this was a higher low. All of this was daily uptrend. This was a flat, right? And keep going. Literally all of this was uptrend. So, and this was 2022 already. So since August 2022, we have not had a daily downtrend. And we're only talking about daily so far. So it's literally the first 2 days of a potential actual altcoin season. For anyone that thinks, oh yeah, I'm missing out on everything. No, you're not. It's actually only the first week at best. So there is plenty of upside to go. You really need to pace yourself right now. You don't need to ape. You don't need to ape all your portfolio at one time. Nothing is going to shoot straight up. In order for Ethereum to reach those high-end targets that I have for this cycle, which is 10K plus, it needs to run at least another 6 months. Otherwise, something is fundamentally wrong. Like Ethereum is a huge asset. It can't do a 2.5x that quickly. So all of that is to say, take your time on ETH. Okay, I don't think we're shooting straight past previous all-time high. As long as you buy and then you follow uptrend, and you pace yourself, you don't get shaken out, and don't ape too hard, so that you would not panic if we drop to, let's say, 3,400. Okay, then you should be able to see much higher levels by the end of the year, 6 to 7K, and by the end of the cycle, something like 10K. Okay, so back to the Bitcoin dominance part. I think there are a lot of opportunities that are related to Ethereum in terms of other altcoins that will soon start to pump. As long as Bitcoin dominance goes through this week even and shows us a lower high here that's lower than 62.5%, then what that will look like is another weekly candle close that's bearish. And by bearish, I mean trending downwards. So far, you can say this is a weekly low. Technically, yes, but this is a wick, okay? And we really wanted the weekly close to be below 60.5%. It didn't close below there. It's already looking very good because this candle on the weekly is a bearish engulfing candle because it's bigger than the last two up candles, right? This one down candle erased all these two bounces. So we just need the next one to still not engulf this one, essentially. So even if this next week Bitcoin dominance bounces, as long as it's below 62.5%, this is still likely to trend down lower. So when we get that signal, all the other alts are going to have much easier time. And we will know by the end of this week. So I think it's a really good time to prepare because some people are still on the sidelines. They're saying, oh, like this is only ETH is running. No other alts are going to run. I don't buy into that. I think this is just like previous cycles where Bitcoin breaks all-time high. We're literally at 120K, about to make a new high. ETH getting close to previous all-time high, lagging behind Bitcoin. And then sometimes Bitcoin runs, sometimes ETH runs. This is so classic of a early bull run scenario for altcoins. This is the exact type of behavior that we have seen in 2021 and even late 2017. So I believe other alts will run. Now, what other alts will run? Aside from the top 10s, which I have already covered many times, they are all going to go pretty quickly, right? XRP, BNB, Solana, Doge, ADA, Tron, whatever, right? I have already covered ETH narrative in a previous live stream 2 weeks ago. I really wanted to prepare you guys early for this, July 22nd. So in here, I covered, all the different narratives for related to ETH. We cover layer 2s, we cover restaking, etc. So I'm not buying layer 2s. I'm not buying restaking because I think these are not that useful, not that popular. I was very interested in RWA. This is a big narrative for this cycle. I was very interested in stablecoins. I still am. And legacy DeFi. So I told people, okay, don't fade legacy DeFi. Uniswap, Chainlink, etc. These things were not that popular, but at some point they will shift because Wall Street, the US institutions, they are doing a lot of things with DeFi, with on-chain stuff, and they need to make regulations more friendly towards DeFi platforms. Otherwise, they are essentially shooting themselves in the foot. They're trying to make DeFi platforms while the SEC hates DeFi platforms. How does that work? So, not to toot my own horn or anything, but when I talked about this, the Project Crypto from the SEC wasn't a thing. But shortly after that, on August 1st, the SEC introduced Project Crypto, which was very beneficial for DeFi specifically. So they wanted to bring huge amount of capital on chain. And specifically, they mentioned all-in-one super apps that lets you do everything on chain. And they mentioned DEXs and automated market makers, aka Uniswap. So this is why I think legacy DeFi coins, Uni, Link, Curve, Comp, etc., are really good buys right now. So when you look at Uniswap, before the SEC announced Project Crypto, Uni was $10. It's only still at 11.4. It's honestly nowhere close to hype level. And so many people are, turned off by DeFi now because for the longest time, the regulators didn't like DeFi. They didn't allow fee sharing. They didn't allow revenue buybacks, etc. But all of those will be enabled, and DeFi tokens will actually get their own classifications soon. So you have Uniswap. I think this is a great buy as an actual ETH DeFi. When you think ETH DeFi, Uniswap is one of the first coins. Chainlink, the longest running DeFi coin other than like MakerDAO. This is used everywhere on every DeFi platform as the de facto oracle. It has been beaten down so much. It's been just nutty to look at Chainlink still at such a low valuation. Not that it's ranked number 12, but for how much Chainlink powers, it should have pumped way earlier in this cycle, but it just hasn't. I think that's all due to regulation. Curve also. This is the main protocol that powers all stablecoin swaps on chain. All of the stablecoin swaps, even on the Solana side, they are forks of Curve's math, Curve's algorithms. They're the inventors of the stable swap. So this thing has not been doing anything for the cycle. Like, look at this. Since 2020, 2021, has been doing nothing. Compound, right? The OG DeFi platform. You have, come on, CoinMarketCap. Okay, whatever. You have Aave, the OG lending and borrowing platform. All of these, I think, are much better spots than, the infra projects that power the Ethereum network or staking. I don't think those are that interesting. I think the DeFi things are what's really going to be the core Ethereum narrative this cycle. Because institutions, they don't use layer 2s. Like, are you crazy? They don't do that. They do everything on mainnet, and they use DeFi applications, DeFi protocols to make money markets. They fork them. Look at World Liberty. I'm a big fan of World Liberty, and one of the first platforms that they chose to fork and adopt was Aave. So they wanted to create their own deployment of Aave to be a lending, borrowing / stablecoin platform using Aave's core code. They're not doing this as some vaporware, layer 2, because they don't need that. They want everything to exist on Ethereum mainnet. So that's why I think these core DeFi infrastructure projects, Uniswap, Chainlink, Aave, Curve, Compound, are all going to do quite well. Some newer ones, Aerodrome, because the SEC really likes automated market makers now, decentralized exchanges. Aerodrome is the main decentralized exchange for Base. And this is up quite a bit. Over this past week, it's up 40%. This is one day, but yeah. Past week, up 40% already. You see Pendle getting some interest as well. This is a yield trading platform that allows you to free up liquidity from yield positions, separating yield and principal tokens. A very core part of RWA, very core part of stablecoins. And then some sleeper picks that I have talked about before. One is Ethereum name service. I think if you actually want to go full degen ETH beta, okay, Ethereum name service doesn't get more ETH native than that. It's literally what powers the .eth subdomains. And this coin has basically no utility, but it has 2.7 billion of the 2.87 fully diluted valuation that's already circulating. So that's quite good. So the tokenomics are pretty sound. And yeah, people are not expecting much from this. So I think this is a good beta play for pure, interest in ETH. And another one that I have picked up recently is this thing called DeFi app. CoinMarketCap, come on. So I picked up DeFi app over this past week because exclusively for Project Crypto and what it means. So when you dive into the SEC Project Crypto announcement, one big part that is currently not covered by these individual protocols is super apps. So the SEC has a super app regulation. They even want to call it Reg Super App, which is one license that replaces everything that has been hindering crypto operators, crypto companies in the US, where they need to, acquire 50 different licenses. So quite soon, you can do just one license in order to operate an exchange, operate a full-fledged DeFi platform that offers everything. And you can have custody, you can have wallets, you can have trading, you have lending, borrowing, all in one. So for the longest time, people needed to use centralized exchanges to do this. Otherwise, you have no way of easy onboarding. So think of things like Binance or Bybit, OKX Web3, or Coinbase Wallet. Those were the only things. But all of those are large centralized exchange projects. And nobody really wants to buy a centralized exchange coin, unless it's BNB, of course. I think it's used everywhere. But what DeFi app is doing is very interesting because they have this full-fledged all-in-one DeFi platform that's mobile and desktop that allows you to do everything on-chain, self-custody, lending, borrowing, swapping, on-off ramping, perp trading, no cross-chain bridging required, no gas fees. So essentially like the base app, Binance Web3 kind of experience, but in self-custody. So I think this is really cool, especially for EVM. I don't know if there's any platform that's like this. You can think of it like a moonshot / Phantom for Solana. A lot of mobile users still use those exclusively, but they are really meant for Solana. There's nothing for ETH right now. Nobody uses MetaMask mobile. And when you look at like Trust Wallet mobile, it's still too complicated. You need to really know how to use a full-fledged DeFi wallet in order to do everything. You need to have gas, you need to have cross-chain. It's a little bit too complicated. What DeFi app is doing, I think it's really interesting. And the timing is perfect because literally this thing was just announced from the SEC that they're going to make this much easier for you to offer these kinds of all-in-one app in the US. So I picked up DeFi app, the ticker is HOME, 100 million market cap right now, pretty good spot. And it's listed everywhere as well. It's already listed on Binance and Coinbase. Okay. Now, aside from the legacy DeFi stuff and the things that benefit from Project Crypto, I think stablecoins are still going to be one of the biggest narratives on ETH for this cycle because all the stablecoin supply are on ETH mainnet. Out of all the stablecoin projects, you can, already buy Circle stock, sure. You can buy Ethena if you are bullish on USDE. You can buy Sky Protocol, which used to be called MakerDAO. They are the issuers and the DAO behind DAI or USD, the stablecoin. Sorry, USDS. But I'm not a huge fan of Ethena and DAI because they are just a little bit too far away from Circle, USDC, and Tether. In order for any of these guys to reach like 60 billion circulating supply, they need to do something pretty drastic of a big change. Because ultimately, there's a big difference between centralized stablecoins, USDT, USDC, versus Ethena and DAI, which are trying to do more DeFi-focused ways. So USDE is really catered to harvesting yield from crypto trading, from funding arbitrage between exchanges and on-chain. The problem there is there's a cap on how much supply you can issue on your stablecoin to keep the yield at that high level. look at USDC. You can't get like 10% plus yield on USDC natively that easily. Even if you do lending borrowing, it's like 5% max. Ethereum offers way higher, but this is because they have caps, right? They can't take in that much money. Otherwise, all the yield get diluted anyways. So because of that core audience difference, same thing for DAI. I don't think these guys are targeting like to become $100 billion, stablecoin market caps to compete with USDT and USDC. But I do believe USD1 is trying to do that, because USD1, the World Liberty project, is not targeting DeFi native. It's targeting treasury markets. It's targeting doing deals with nations, with potential buyers from right now the Middle East, UAE. They want those guys, they want the large family offices and state-backed investment funds to put money into treasuries and in turn get decently high yield in a stablecoin format, and probably some sort of deals with WLFI, with World Liberty, to sweeten the deal for them. And that market is huge. To go from 2 billion to 100 billion, it's literally one signature away, because the treasury market is trillions and trillions of dollars, right? This is tiny. So I think World Liberty will be the number 3 largest stable. I think by the time WLFI is at its maturity, it hasn't even gone TGE yet. So that's why I'm really interested in all of the WLFI stuff, World Liberty stuff. So other than that, before we get too deep there, you can look at Tether and its related projects. I thought I had it here, but let me just see if I do. Okay, so there are 2 chains that are both about to launch. I've covered this every time, Plasma and Stable. So both of these raised a lot of money from Bitfinex, from the founders of USDT, Tether, and they are launching 2 chains that specifically serve USDT, making it gasless to send and receive USDT, and you using Tether as the gas token itself. So you can just directly send Tether to this chain, and then you don't need anything else. Super fast settlement, officially backed. I'm very excited about both of these projects. I don't know how high or how low the valuations will be. Neither of them have launched yet. But I think these 2 are much more interesting than Ethereum, for example. So this is just my view. Okay, now let's get a little bit deeper into World Liberty. So assuming WFI launches by the end of this year, probably a little bit sooner than that, within 2 months, USD1 market cap, reaching the 3rd largest stablecoin spot. What's the opportunities here? So for my full deep dive, you can already watch this video that I made 2 weeks ago, talking about Trump's, WFI project and their whole plan about the stablecoin. So there will be a governance token called WFI. And there are 2 beta plays that we have covered before, namely Blockstreet and Dolomite. So these 2 have been doing quite well. So Blockstreet, when we covered it, I think it was, what was this? Okay, let me just take the date, July 30th here. So slowly going up as people have more and more knowledge about what World Liberty is and the fact that they will have their own token. So since July 30th, it was around 18 cents then, now it's 23. Still not too bad, went up about 20% or so. You have Dolomite. This did quite well since 2 weeks ago, because the connection there was quite clear, where, okay, we'll just go back here. So where the creator of Dolomite is actually the CTO of World Liberty. So this is why you see since July 30th, this was 17, 18 cents at the last peak. Now it's 27 already. So a lot of people are catching on. Again, still, this is only 170 million market cap. Now, something that just got announced today is this. Over this past week, there's been a lot of buzz around the Trump family raising this public vehicle of $1.5 billion of a treasury company to specifically hold WLFI tokens and have this company being traded on the NASDAQ. This morning, this got announced. So the NASDAQ company is called Alt5 Sigma Corporation. The ticker is ALTS, ALTS. Pretty funny. It's actually just ALTS, like as in altcoins. You can see right here, Eric Trump actually tweeted about it. Let's go ALTS. And this is pretty funny, because this is literally like altcoins, same name. But yeah, this is official. And what's really cool about this is the chief investment officer of this public company is Matt Morgan, who is the CEO of Blockstreet. Matt Morgan is now the CIO of the public company that helps to do their TradFi deals with this WLFI treasury entity. So this is very cool. And this is obviously very bullish for Blockstreet. It's a very much tighter, close relationship now. And on top of this, this opens up actually another way for us to get exposure in WLFI. Because read this, okay? You don't have to buy some coin. As long as you have a stock brokerage account, you can buy the ALTS stock, because this company now holds 7.5% of the total supply of WLFI tokens. And you can do the math here directly. So there has been $1.5 billion of a deal that's been done here for 7.5% of supply. So taking 1.5 billion divided by 0.075, that gives you $20 billion of fully diluted valuation that this treasury company invested in WLFI at the valuation, which is 20 billion. So you guys know from the last video when we mentioned the pre-market prices of WLFI, it's around 20 billion. So this isn't some like heavily discounted mark. This is basically mark to market. And two ways you can look at it. Number one, pretty bullish for the growth trajectory of WLFI, given that they are willing to come in at that 20 billion mark. And second is now the performance of this alts company is going to be tied to the people's perception of WLFI. So let's say if World Liberty actually goes to 100 billion in market cap, the 7.5% of the total supply held here will be 5x as well. So if there is a certain multiple that this company's stock will trade compared to its treasury, whatever that is right now, pretty clear, right? So since they are pricing their WLFI holding at 20 billion, and that stock is already priced in at current level, if WLFI goes to 100 billion, people will start to put two and two together and say, okay, the public company side have 5x the treasury amount now in dollar terms. So why is the stock not trading higher? I bought this morning as another exposure to my existing exposure to WLFI ecosystem, so that I now have Blockstreet, I have Dolomite, and I have this treasury vehicle stock that holds WLFI tokens. I think this is probably underlooked right now. This is the most direct way, because none of the crypto side stuff actually holds the token directly as confirmation, but this does. So not to limit my mindset to only holding coins, I'm willing to hold a company as well in order to gain exposure to this. So I think this is very cool. And I'm not too sure how to actually price the specific filing here, but by relationship to their treasury of WLFI, assuming everything's priced in at this current point, this is a pretty good way to gain beta exposure. Okay, that's it. That's all the things for WFI. Still, there isn't much out there, and this hype is barely starting. Most people still don't know that World Liberty will have a TGE, and they're just treating these as like, oh, hey, look, the Trump family is raising more money to fund, their leisurely activities. But that's not the case. They're doing this seriously. Look, piece all the signs together, right? The SEC is fully turning around for their stance on DeFi, and their stance on stablecoins. And it just so happens that World Liberty is super deep into ETH DeFi and ETH stablecoins. I think this is a no-brainer going into the rest of this year, and that's why I'm just fully exposed to this ecosystem. Okay, that's it. That's everything I wanted to cover for today. Before I go, so 2 things. Number 1, check me out on X at VirtualBacon0x. I tweet about these things right when they drop instead of covering them on live streams like these, because simply they're just way faster. And usually, I have notifications turned on for these things. So follow me on X if you want the quickest updates. And check out our trading bots on Poundx. So this is the easiest way by far for you to gain exposure to the large caps if you don't know how to find the ranges. As we get higher and higher in this current rally for ETH, each time that a new higher low is formed, currently it's at 3350, but let's say the next time the next low is at 4,000, I will be making new bots and also adjusting the current swing bot so it keeps trading every swing. That usually works quite well in a bull market. So check it out. There's a full tutorial in the description, and you can find the link to copy all my bots in there as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video and the next live stream. Bye-bye.